This video is going to take you through how to export your chart and key entries as image files. So what do we mean by exporting as an image file? Well, basically it means we're going to save the chart or the key into an image format, and this will allow you to print your files or insert them into your pattern layout. Occasionally we are asked, how do I print from Stitch Mastery? I can't find the print option, and that's because you can't print directly from Stitch Mastery. The program is not set up to deal with paper sizes and everything like that you would need. Your image files can then be opened in whatever program you would normally use to print a downloaded picture or document. The program gives you several options of different file types to save into, and in this video I'm not going to go into lots of detail about the different file types, but what I will do is link in the description box below to a blog post that we wrote last year which explains more about each of the file types and why you might want to choose specific ones depending on what you're then going to use it for and what programs you're using. So first off, I'll point out I haven't selected anything here in my chart diagram area, and what we can do first of all is export everything that you see into an image file. There are two routes to do this through. In the icon menu here you'll see there's an icon with a camera, and when I hover over you get the text export to image, or if we go to diagram you get the same camera and export to image. In the dialog that opens, the first thing you have an option to change is the file name, and also we have a browse box here to find the folder you want to save it into. So I'm going to save the image into Stitch Mastery Weekly Tip, and we'll call it chart and key. Hit save, and then you'll see that the next option is to change the image format. So as I mentioned, there are several different file types you can choose. I'm going to choose PNG for this video. We have some quite technical options that you can choose to amend if you please. So the resolution in dots per inch, you might want to change this depending on whether you intend your pattern to be sold in paper form or online. If you're using a professional printer, they might have guidance about the DPI that you should use. But for this video we'll keep everything as it is, and also the sizing. If you're using a layout in a program and you have a specific size that you know is the size of the area your chart file should go into, then you can use the boxes here to specify the exact size that you need. But we'll leave this as it is. I don't need to rotate my chart, but you do have the option here if it's something that you need. You'll also see there are 3 tick boxes here. Now, the convert text to shapes option, that has to do with if you're exporting to EPS file type, and again I direct you back to the blog post that is linked in the description box below. It's not relevant to the PNG format, so you can see it's greyed off. Overwrite existing file without warning. So if you've already exported your chart and then you've gone back and made changes, potentially you will want to save the new version with the same name. So for instance, you've called it Hannah's Socks and you're happy with your changes, you don't feel the need to save a version 2. If you've ticked this box, then you skip the part where you would normally have a pop-up dialog saying there's another file saved with this name, do you want to replace it? And you have to click yes to go through that. That's standard in most computer systems, so ticking that box saves you a little bit of time. And the include sticky notes box. So if you've used the sticky note feature to write little notes to yourself, or for instance if you're sending this to a tech editor, then you can include those in your export, and you'll see that that's not always an option. It's only available if you're saving everything in your chart diagram, so not selecting the chart on its own or selecting the key on its own. So I'm happy with the settings. I'm going to click OK, and then we'll pop over to the folder and you'll see that we have chart and key. When I open it, you'll see we have everything that was in my chart diagram. So, coming back to Stitch Mastery, next thing you might want to do is exporting your chart on its own. There are a couple of ways you can select your chart. You can either just click in the bottom right hand corner, so in line with your row and column numbers, click there and you've selected the whole chart, or because I've only got one chart in this chart diagram, I can use the selection tool and hit select all charts, and that selects my one chart. So again, we'll go export to image, and this time I'll name this chart only. Keep it as ping. As I mentioned, we've lost the sticky notes option here, and I'm going to keep everything else the same. And again, click over to the folder. Now we only have the chart. You may also want to export your key, and you have two options here. You can either export the whole of the key in the layout that it appears at the moment, or you can actually export each individual key entry without having to go through lots of different steps. So we'll show you both of these. Again, like your charts, you can either use the select tool to select the key, or you can click to select. Now you need to make sure that you don't hit on an individual key entry, but if you make sure that you're within the end of the text, both vertically and horizontally, you will select the key. We'll come to export, and this one I'm going to call full key. Now, as I mentioned, you can also export all of your key entries as individual files. So I won't tick this for the full key, but while we're here, I'll now do export key. I'm going to select that and individual key entries. So I have this one selected. And if we click over to the folder, you'll see I have a whole list now. So we open the full key first of all. It's in the layout that you saw in the chart diagram. And as we click through, you'll see each individual stitch with its abbreviations. So this gives you a lot of control over how you set out your key in your pattern. Within Stitch Mastery, you can change the key to be horizontal or vertical or in two different columns, but you may want to lay things out differently beyond that. Or it might be that you have more than one chart which will appear on different pages, and you want to have key entries on both pages but not the same items. For instance, maybe one of your charts doesn't have all of the stitches in it. So this gives you a lot of control to use exactly which parts of the key you want.